Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This week's video is a second part of my Crash Bash Remake series. So if you haven't seen the first video, you should go watch it. I'll put the link in the description. So the first week's video was talking about the roster, and now this video is going to be talking about the story and the bosses. So without further ado, I'm just going to jump into it. The story starts with Crash sleeping on his island, and he's teleported to the Hyperspace Temple, along with the entire roster. Everyone that's in this roster, they're all going to be teleported to the Hyperspace Temple, and they're going to be greeted by an Ancient. I know this isn't an Ancient, but I wanted, it pretty much looks like how I've envisioned an Ancient. It'll look a little less intimidating, but that's how the Ancient is going to look. And he's going to say to Aku Aku and Uka Uka that he's sick of their bickering and their constant fighting, and that it has like thrown off the balance of the hyperspace temple or the tiki dimension or something. I haven't ironed out all the details yet, but pretty much Aku Aku and Uka Uka, their rivalry has somehow affected the Ancients' homeworld dimension, and he wants them to repair it. So he teleported all of the characters that ever crossed paths with Crash, because in the Ancient's mind, Crash is the stem of the problem. Crash and Cortex. So Crash, Cortex, Uka Uka, and Aku Aku, they're all the reason that his home dimension is getting messed up. So in this game, instead of them collecting crystals, gems, and trophies, they're going to collect ancient artifacts or runes or something to help fix the home dimension of the Ancients. And in the intro video, pretty much he says, whoever collects the most objects will survive. I'm going to destroy everyone else. So they all get off into their pairs, their teams, and they go to collect their items so they can survive. So that's why each team is against all the other teams. So even though Crash, Coco, Crunch, and Tawna might be friends with Isabella, Liz, Amy, and Megumi, they're gonna fight them to the end. They need to survive, and that's pretty much the entire story. The warp rooms will be set up the same way that they are in Bash, but you'll be collecting different items opposed to the crystals, gems, relics, and trophies. So that was the intro cutscene, and now I'm going to jump into the first boss of the game. So originally in Crash Bash, you had Papu Papu, but in Crash Bash Party Stash, I'm going to have Papu Papu, but he will not be doing the same attacks that he normally does. Instead, he'll remain in the middle, and we're gonna have I know the character's name is Krunk, but they're from the planet Terra, so I believe they're either called Terrans or Terralings. Either way, they're gonna throw spears at Crash that Crash has to dodge, and we're gonna have two giant Tikimon that are on the sides of the arena. So the first attacks will be the spears being thrown, and then the second attack, where you see these tiles flipping that Papu Papu originally did, we're going to have the Tikimons pounding their fists on the arena to cause the tiles to flip. And then Papu Papu does the technique where he makes the Crash clones, but in this game, they're going to be carbon crashes. So Crash is going to have to go and spin the carbon crashes. So the basic setup for the boss battle is still the same, but I wanted to add more lore and characters from the franchise into this game. So that was boss number 1. And now we're going to jump into Bearminator. The Bearminator boss battle is pretty much going to be almost identical to this one. The mechanical polar bears are going to be shot out of the cannons. The arena is going to be exploded, and chunks of it are going to be missing. The only difference that I'm going to add into this is that there's going to be an extra attack that happens after the arena gets smaller, and it's going to be Nash and Land Shark. So we're going to have two shark characters that are going to jump and slide across the arena. They're going to slide and like slide and chomp. So that boss battle is pretty much, like I said, almost exactly the same, but I wanted to add the two shark characters into it. I was going to add Rusty Walrus, however, I'm holding back on him because I'm going to implement him into one of the mini games. So we got from Crash Nitro Kart, we had Krunk in the first boss battle, and now we have Nash in the second boss battle. And we're going to move on to the third boss battle now. So the original boss battle in Crash Bash, you would have the Komodo brothers, and they're in this giant machine that's firing all sorts of weapons at you. There's cannons, and then there's laser pistols and rockets. But as you know, in my game, the Komodo brothers are already playable characters. So I've swapped the Komodos out with the two Norms, Little Norm and Big Norm. And each different turret or gun will be piloted, will have a little screen with the lab assistants, because, you know, we need some lab assistants in this game. And I figure giant mech, robot, they're robots, so we're just going to have them in there. So instead of just blowing up a random cannon, now you have like a little capsule, you could say. Not a capsule, a cockpit. So a cockpit with all the lab assistants in it, and you blow up that the big mech, and then you have the Norms that come out and they attack you with their tanks. So like I said, I'm going to try and keep it consistent with Crash Nitro Kart bosses, because I want to cover all the lore of this series, and I couldn't find a good group for the Nitro Kart bosses, so I wanted to implement them into bosses. And then we're going to jump into the last boss battle. So the last boss battle has two stages. It has, you chase Oxide to his home planet, and he throws nitro crates and he shoots rockets at you and stuff. But as you know, we're using Nitro Kart bosses, so I'm going to keep that trend up. And we're actually going to have Geary be the one piloting the spaceship. However, because it's Geary, it's a combination. It's going to be battling and it's going to be racing. So I want this to be like not as in-depth as like a CTR track, but I do want you to actually race and battle Geary at the same time. And then when you get to the home world, I am going to have it be revealed that Willy Woompa Cheeks was using a remote control to control Geary. So Willy Woompa Cheeks is actually the final bad guy of the game. He'll say something along the lines of, "Oh, you didn't invite me to the racing game, and how dare you not let me be in Crash on the Run." Or he'll just say something meta, like he'll be complaining, breaking the fourth wall about how he wasn't invited to other games. And then he'll say something along the lines of, "It took me 10 years to regenerate because at the end of Crash Tag Team Racing, he blew up into like a puddle of Wumpa goop." But yeah, so you're going to be doing the ballistic levels, and I decided to add the park drones. They're going to pilot the little ships on the side, and they'll shoot missiles and they'll shoot other things at you. And that is pretty much the end of all the bosses. I do have one secret boss, but I'm gonna add that at the very end of next video. And now I'm just gonna jump into the ending cutscene. So the ending of the game you have whatever team that you picked will confront the ancient and give the artifacts to help repair his dimension, pocket dimension, whatever. And he'll be so happy that you repaired his dimension that he'll give a pass to all the other players. So it's a big happy ending. And there's gonna be one secret boss, and like I said, I'm gonna talk about that in the next video. But man, I say but a lot, but that's okay. So the game will be over, and then now it's when you have to go collect all of the artifacts. So you go back and you're going to try and get the 100% ending. And after you beat the original game, you don't have to 100% it, but when you beat the campaign mode, the adventure mode, whatever you want to call it, you'll unlock another warp room that has remakes of the Crash Purple and the Boom Bang levels will be in the new secret warp room. So then you go through the game and you collect all the other artifacts, you beat all the mini games, and you will see the secret final boss, which I will talk about in the next video. In the next video, I'm going to talk about the mini games, and I'm going to say how I would change some of them. And there's still more characters from the franchise that haven't made an appearance yet, but don't worry, they'll probably be in one of the mini games, because there was N-Ballism had Engine in it, and Engine is a playable character now, so I have some ideas about who's going to be taking that space, and it's just going to be, I think it's fun, and I hope you guys like this video, because I really like this series, and I hope you like it too. But anyway, looks like we're over 12 minutes, so I'll stop talking now, and I hope you guys like the video, and I'll see you next time. Take care.